sky, and kings shall deceive. We have come into the night, thunder and rage in war a night. We have come into the night, thunder and rage in war a night. We'll fight for kings, for Ragnarok. Bring her up for Ragnarok, bring her up for Ragnarok, bring her up for Ragnarok. Welcome to Valhalla. Bring her up for Ragnarok, bring her up for Ragnarok, bring her up for Ragnarok. Welcome to Valhalla. I can feel it in my veins, the warrior inside of me. Bring her up for Ragnarok, bring her up for Ragnarok, bring her up for Ragnarok. Welcome to Valhalla. The sound of arms, fierce morality. Nightfall the rain, and the silence leads. We have come into the night, thunder and rage in war a night. We have come into the night, thunder and rage in war a night. We'll fight for kings, for Ragnarok. Shield wall. Bring her up for Ragnarok, bring her up for Ragnarok, bring her up for Ragnarok. Welcome to Valhalla. Bring her up for Ragnarok, bring her up for Ragnarok, bring her up for Ragnarok. Welcome to Valhalla. I can feel it in my veins, the warrior inside of me. Bring her up for Ragnarok, bring her up for Ragnarok, bring her up for Ragnarok. Welcome to Valhalla.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Seer for week 4 of Valhalla Esports. I'm joined today by Bulgaria. How are you doing, sir?
Good. How are you doing today?
Doing pretty well. Gonna look at how games went for week number 3, and then look at the matchups coming up, see what the community votes were, and potentially later today we might run a series, so keep an eye out for that, but it depends on people's availability. And without further ado, we'll jump into the first series, which included Bulgaria. It was Los Nomadas versus Titan Gaming Mux. Patty, you want to run through these drafts since you were part of them?
Yeah, so ban wise, they have the Crypt Lord, so always gonna pour Vlad no matter what lane he's in. We knew going in, I think we had first pick, so we wanted the Lux. We'd been practicing the Lux a lot. It's a good flex into multiple lanes for us. So it was a nice. We were able to get it, I think, pretty much every game. So we ended up sending it mid this game, and yeah, they gave us the one trick, gave our one trick Riven his Riven. So that's about all I can say to this.
True.
What do you think of the draft, sir?
Oh, there's Ruben. Sorry, I was looking at the chat. Before we talk about the draft, I want to say if you have your Prime subs available, act like me. Use them here on Valhalla Esports. We'll love you for at least 30 days. Get those in. We also now have, as Beard showed in the chat, a tier 2 and tier 3 emote. You can have a silver or gold logo.
We're not. We also left the
good.
Morgana up, Beard, and he did not take it. So
They were just
that was a
trying
little
to bait
surprise.
vintage into all of them. Yeah, for the draft, always nice for Omega to get his one trick. I'm sure he had a good time on that. looking like you were on that Mayo in the jungle, very strong in the jungle role, even up against Jarvan, who's also quite strong.
We were
And
a little confused with the Zillion ban. I don't think Bopsy's played Zillion in about 2 seasons, so
well,
it
it could go mid or support. I don't know if your support plays it any,
I
but
don't think any of us have played it in a while.
it looks like they were going for just a lot of hard engage. They had the go button with Jarvan and Malphite and Seraphine. Uh, and you guys looked like you were going for a little more poke and disengage, but looks like a pretty comfort lineup from both sides. Let's see how this game number 1 went. Looking like you guys pulled it out with the victory. Uh, looks like Omega, Snarbopsy, Junie, and Ray wasn't all got a fair amount of kills, and you were there to support them with those 10 assists.
Yeah, if I recall, there wasn't a ton of full-on team fighting. We kept Omega mostly split push this game, and he usually drew the Malphite with him, which gave us a little bit of a play with our engage. Because if they didn't have the Malphite there, we could turn it around, especially if we managed to get onto Bentage or Sivir. Give
Yeah,
us a little bit of
that would
movement.
make sense. If you get the Riven ahead a little bit and can draw the Malphite away from fights, does make it tougher on TGM. But we'll jump into draft number 2 if you want
It's
to listen to
always the
how
blitz
this one
carry,
went.
sir. We tried to give him all the kills.
All the blitz carries.
We went in with a similar strategy. Me and Bobsy had the last 2 picks, and I somehow convinced him to let me play Kindred. I think it's the
Wow.
first time I have not played a tank in 2 seasons. So that was nice. As you see, we gave Bentage his Morgana. They did flip Criplord and Bentage this game, so Bentage did go mid with that Morgana.
Oh,
We still respected Criplord enough to ban the Vlad because we didn't even want to see a Vlad support.
luckily, Snarbopsy has enough experience with the support mids. With Bentage going mid with the Morgana, he knew it was up.
Yeah, he knew what
And
was up, and he got on a comfort pick with the Swain, which, if
shout
anyone's seen him build Swain, it's a tanky Swain.
shout out to you on the non-tank pick. I think the first
It's
time
rare.
in many seasons we've seen that. We'll have to see how you did in this game.
Yeah,
Another good split pusher in your top lane with the Fiora. Pretty good into Shen, but Shen is good again for team fights because you can be in that side lane and ult to fights. Swain, big tanky boy, tanks with lifesteal in the mid lane. Should do fine against Morgana, I would think, as long as you don't get bound. And then gave Lux to Junie this time, it looks like, right?
yep. Junie took the Lux spot with the Blitz, which if they landed the pull was whoever that was just stuck forever.
Yeah. Pulled, knocked up, bound. Sounds like a bad time.
Yep.
Um, looks like a lot of scaling though from the side Titan Gaming. They got that Vayne, they got the Shen, and then just some solid engage with Morg, Jarvan, and Leona. So still winnable either way. Let's see how game number 2 went. And it looks like Los Nematis closed it out. Took the 2-0 in this series. Bulgaria having a good performance on that Kindred 8-4 and 7. Maybe we'll see a new page in the era of Bulgaria where he's playing carry junglers.
Doubtful, but we can all hope.
Junie popping off some on that Lux, and
Yeah,
again,
Ray had a phenomenal series about catching. For game 1, he caught Bentage a lot. Game 2, he had a bunch of really nice pulls. We were able to get bot lane ahead, and with the Lux ahead, the
was there
poke
any
was abusive.
worry? Looks like the Vayne was starting to get some kills, 10, 6, and 2. Any worry on your side of getting outscaled, or did you feel pretty
We
comfortable closing it
we
out?
were a little worried. Well, our bot lane was ahead early, and once they hit 6, the Shen kept ulting bot, so they kept coming bot with four people pretty much gank. So that kind of got Vayne back into it a little bit, and being as that is his best player, once we finally got a lead, I think we got a kill on him, and then we just pushed to end it because we didn't want to give Vayne too much time to shred through Bobsy, Fiora, or anyone else.
Fair, fair. Well played, Los Nematis taking the series. Series 2 was Velocity Gaming versus HYG. For this game 1, HYG's on the blue side, Velocity had red side. Looks like HYG didn't want to see Ashe, Morg, and Shaco. Velocity took away that Yone, Ziggs, and Silas, prioritizing the Ezreal pick, answered by the Jinx Nautilus. HYG's follow up with Renata Glask and Vi. Let Velocity grab a Mumu, banning away Tom Kench and Olaf. HYG took out that Lux and Mord. Then it was the Orin pickup, Scion and Azir to round out HYG, and Velocity grabbing Vel'Koz as their final pick. Bot lane for Velocity has a fair amount of range, kind of uses a scale, and they have 3 meatballs to stand in front of them in the Nautilus, Amumu, and Ornn. So, interesting picks. Actually, the Nautilus would be support. That would be a Vel'Koz mid. That would make
I
more
like
sense.
the Velocity setup, but it's very funnel the Jinx. If HYG can kill that Jinx, they're in trouble because I don't know the damage they bring to the table outside of that Jinx and Vel'Koz.
Yeah, HYG.
Where you got a little bit more on the HYG side, can provide a little more backup damage.
Also with that poke scaling bot lane with the Renata Ezreal, and then plenty of their all in with the Vi and Scion, and another scaling pick. Just a lot of scaling this game.
It
Scaling
could be fun
with
to
meatballs.
watch that Jinx, the Renata ult the Jinx, and the Jinx shreds through her own front line.
True. But yeah, we'll be interested to see which carry was able to stay safe. Because like if you get Jinx Vi ulted, that could be scary. But let's see how it panned out. Looking like Velocity takes game number 1. The Wheel Poco was kept safe, going 10, 2, and 13. Looking like the Amumu ultimates and the peeling from Nautilus and Ornn were enough to keep him safe while they were able to take out Beeson on that Ezreal. Looked like Bonkers had a pretty good game on the Azir, but couldn't get big enough to overtake that Jinx. But well played to Velocity for game 1. Jumping into draft number 2. Looks like they swap sides. Velocity blue, HYG red. We do a little bit of scaling. Yeah, both teams wanted scaling.
Yeah, this lineup feels like Velocity almost tried to run it back. Two big tanks, a little more damage with Hecarim, but the same basic concept with the Jinx and Lux.
I like the idea where if it worked in game 1, just do it again. Velocity took away Yone, Ziggs, and Silas again. HYG took out Shaco, Nautilus, and Ashe. Velocity prowled that Jinx, liked it in game 1. HRG answered with the Xayah Rakan bot lane. Thresh and Ornn grabbed up for some meatballs on Velocity, and Gwen in the top lane trying to counter that Ornn.
It almost feels like HYG is going for the 1-3-1 split in this game with having both, at least late game, with the Gwen and the Trundle. Ornn trying to answer either of them's not in for a good time.
Yeah, potentially. HYG then took away that Morgamumu. Velocity took away that Azir. Poppy, Trundle picked up. Velocity grabbing Hecarim and Lux, and then Lissandra to round out the draft. Yeah, I agree. Gwen could become a split pushing problem into late game. Also, if she has enough gold in that side lane, could just come into team fights and clean up because a fed Gwen can be quite scary. A very safe bot lane that's strong with the levers duo, but definitely getting some more comfort from Velocity since they like that Jinx, they like that Ornn. So I'll have to see who took this game number 2. Looking like it went over to Velocity. They took the series 2-0, able to keep Jinx safe once again, and took home the victory. Looking like, I'm assuming there was some time spent top lane to help out Lima. The 1v1 for Gwen generally is pretty good, but if you get ganked a lot, say that Hecarim came up top to help him out, can definitely even that back out. And then looks like Doug did a good job in that mid lane, just poking out, getting farmed. So well played, Velocity. Jump into series number 3, which was Bomba Bros against the Donger Squad. I'll let you take this one away, Petty.
Yeah, so Bomba starting out with the band Fiddle, MF, and Akali. Donger starting out with the Groggy, Xayah, and Xerath bands. Back over to Bomba with the Darius Bomba takes the Zeri first, which I know Bomba did flip their lineup this week. So you have Fluffy back in the ADC role with Eli Bot, and that was a Fluffy comfort pick last season. So I'm not surprised they took that first. Donger comes back with the Nautilus, Kaisa, get their bot lane set up. Bomba comes back with the Janna, Sejuani, and then Maokai finishing out the top. So you pretty much have the top jungle there and the first on each side. Looks like Donger very much wants to engage with theirs, while Bomba wants to scale and kind of counter-engage, counterplay the Nautilus. A second round band, you have Donger with the Vigar and Olaf, Bomba with the Darius Ari. Donger takes the Ori, followed by Nico Pantheon for Bomba and Fiora for Donger to finish it out. I feel like Donger's very much going for the split push Fiora almost, with the group fighting Mayo Ori can provide. Bomba's a little more just team fight central. Pantheon's gonna be nice to be able to hopefully come in from a bunch of different angles, get some surprise ganks off, and maybe be able to punish Donger a little bit.
Yeah, I think Bomba needs to get ahead in this one. I think scaling edge goes to Donger, but they've got plenty of fight early. If that Pantheon can pop off, you're right, he can become scary. We'll have to see if Nico can be sneaky and get off any of those minion plays that we see when people don't notice there's an extra minion in the lane. For Dongers, just kind of solid carries. Ori, shout out Bomba banning away the MF. I think this is the first week Panda had to play anything other than Misfortune. So
he did. This is the second game he's had to play someone other than Misfortune. There was, I think, week one he played a Xayah game.
Gotcha.
But to me, looking at this, it feels like Donger kind of wants to group up and run at him. And if Bomba can survive that initial CC Ori Mayo combo, I feel like their counter engage could be really strong back at him.
Yeah, let's see who took game number 1. Looks like it went to the Bomba Bros. So looks like you're right. They were able to survive that initial engage and take back those fights. A huge Nico. 11, 1, and 7. That Pantheon, as I said, looks like he got ahead early and had a very good game. Delicious, unkillable in this game.
Yeah, I mean, this just looks like beginning to end. I mean, it's a 40-minute game, which I'm a little surprised Kaisa and some of Donger wasn't able to scale back into it for a game that went that long, but it looks like Bomba had pretty good control over the game. They had Elder, Baron, 2 Barons, and one of the Rifts. So
yeah, it looks like they just had so much objective control that I would guess that they held off long enough because they were starting to scale back into it, but that Elder or Baron at the end, whichever it was, probably took them to the victory. So I'd guess the scaling was a factor, but the objective was just too overpowering and took the victory for Bomba. Jump into this draft number 2. You can go ahead.
Yep. So first round bans. Looks like they ran it back with Donger. They did swap out the Pantheon for, I don't remember who they had banned their second. Bomba Bros ran it back with the same 3 first bans: Fiddle, MF, and Akali. First picking the Xayah this time from Bomba. Donger countering with the Ziggs Kindred. Bomba coming back with Furkan Sejuani. And Donger taking Nico. Second round ban from Donger, you have Olaf, Tom Kench. Bomba, you have Nautilus, Darius. Bomba takes Poppy for top lane. Or Donger does. Bomba takes Syndra, Ward, and Donger takes Victor for mid lane. I don't really know what Donger was doing here. I'll be kind of honest. This is a little bit of a weird draft, at least from what I'm seeing.
Looks like they had a lot of AP, and they said, well, Kindred's AD, that'll cover us.
Yeah.
Pretty AP heavy, a lot of
squishy too. That's they really don't. They have Poppy, but they don't really have a strong engage. Where Bomba, you have the Mordekaiser for the split push, which should do pretty decent into Poppy. You would be, I think. I think the Syndrome Victor matchup is more skill based, but they still have that Sejuani and Rakan engage that if they get on any of them, they should be able to burst one or two of those guys down pretty quickly.
Right. What up, Vintage? Thank you for the Prime sub. Happy to have you, even if you showed up a little late. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, I think if it's another one where if Donger Squad gets a lead, it's fine. But if it's even and there's enough MR and the Kindred isn't ahead, Bomba Bros might just be able to prioritize MR and take the win.
Yeah, if Donger, they're playing around basically the poke. They need the Nico, Ziggs, Victor to poke them out, maybe catch one, and then the Kindred can jump in and help finish them. But if they get the full engage, I don't think they're going to have a lot of...
The Seer's the quick podcast where we go over the week of games. So we're looking at games from week 3, and we'll be looking ahead to the games coming up this week for week 4. Just to give an overview of how all the games went, and look ahead to what's coming, really. But here we see the Bomber Bros did indeed take game number 2, won the series 2-0. Evbot gigantic on that Mordekaiser, 13-2 and 8. And looking like there's plenty of MR coming through from Ward and Sejuani, and even just Merc treads on everyone basically. So just statting against the enemy damage and taking the win.
Yeah, this is another 44-minute game, so you had a point where Kindred was probably starting to scale into it more. That poke had to start hurting from the Donger squad, so...
This time we had 3 Barons.
We had 3 Barons,
no
we had
elders.
7 Dragons, and 2 Rifts. So it seems like Donger was a little more objective focused that game, getting 3 of the Dragons, but that's a long game. That's a lot of objectives killed.
2-game series, but both games look very hard fought. But ends up going the way of Bomber Bros. Well played to them. Series number 4 was Stoner Nation against NRO. Looking like game number 1, the bans were Renekton, Jax, and Lucian. Stoners took away Mayo, Lilia, and Gwen. NRO grabbing the Nautilus. Stoners grabbed Ezreal, Renata, and then the Swain Vi pickup, answered by Silas. Stoners banning away Vayne and Yone. NRO took out the Rumble and Camille. Sejuani picked up, answered by Nafari and Cassante. And then rounding out the draft is Fiora for Stoner Nation. Looking like a fair amount of engage from Stoner Nation, poke from the Ezreal, and then split push from Fiora. A lot of all-in from NRO, just basically looking to 5-man meatball you.
Yeah, the only problem I potentially see with NRO's comp here is if they manage to kill the Neferi, I don't know where all their damage is going to come from. Outside of that, they have a lot of tanky front line, so it's going to turn into a sustained fight. But Stoner Nation doesn't have a great counter to the tankiness. Ezreal's not the greatest tank shredder.
Right.
So it's probably long, drawn-out fights is how I would imagine that this game went.
Oh yeah, thanks for the shout-out, Beard. This series was casted, so if you missed it and you want to check it out on the YouTube. And we can go a little quicker through the series since it's already casted. Look at the post-game. Victory went over to NRO. I remember this one went pretty late, ended up with a Baron and an Elder going to NRO. So it was a 30-minute game where, again, getting that objective control helped push the victory for NRO.
Yeah, it hurts when you have a massive front line from Stoner Squad and the Ezreal then fell behind, and they probably didn't have the damage to get through it.
Right. But well played to them. Draft number 2, Stoner Nation blue side, NRO red side, was the Maokai, Corki, Kaisa, Jarvan, Aatrox versus the Gwen, Braum, Ashe, Yasuo, and Malphite. How we feel about these team comps?
I always like the Yasuo Malphite pick, but you also have the Braum. I like NRO's draft here. I feel like they have good engage and disengage. Stoners is basically running at you. If they don't catch some of the squishies early, Stoners are going to be in trouble.
Well, they still got good team fight. They got Maokai and Jarvan, two good team fight ults, plenty of poke in the Corki, Kaisa, and Aatrox if he gets ahead, still can be a monster. But yeah, a lot of good combos there. Braum, Ashe, Yasuo, Malphite for NRO. And game number 2 went to Stoner Nation, taking them down. Flame getting big on that Aatrox. And this time, more control to Stoner Nation of the objectives. Took a Baron and took game number 2 to them, forcing it to game number 3. Here, game number 3, NRL blue side, Stoner Nation red side. Got that Maokai, Vayne, Leona, Akali, Cassante against Braum, Lucian, Jarvan, Corki, and Gwen. How we feel about the lineups for game 3?
Feels like both teams have a similar thing. They just kind of want to fight. This is very team fight oriented team, so it's going to come out to whoever plays those team fights better. The Vayne, if this game goes too long, the Vayne's going to outscale Lucian, and that's where Stoner Nation could be in trouble.
Yeah, Lucian's a lot more early game. Akali is always annoying to see whenever I'm against it, because whenever that champion gets fed, it just one-shots your carries. And then Cassante is
Life
still in a
of an
very
ADC.
strong point. But yeah, let's see who took home this series. Again, if you want to see it, check it out on the YouTube. But it was indeed the series victory for NRO, taking a 50-minute game, very long and hard fought. 2 Barons for each team and an Elder for NRO. This game was very long and was ridiculous. I would recommend checking it out if you want to see a very scrappy game.
I remember watching the last couple fights, and Flame on that Gwen was shredding everyone. I mean, it was absolutely insane how much damage he was putting out.
Yeah, for sure. But you see Vayne and Akali got all those kills. It went late enough. Yeah, this one, if you haven't seen it, it's a pretty ridiculous game. I would definitely recommend. We'll jump to the 5th series, which was Titan's Wrath against the Goat Kings. Go ahead, Pete.
Yeah, so first round of bans, Titan's Wrath took out Swain, Seraphine, and Ashe. Go Kings took out Silas, Yone, and Poppy. Titan's Wrath first picks the Ezreal. Go Kings come back with the Nautilus, Sejuani. Titan's Wrath takes the Mumu Bard. Goat Kings pulls out the Sejuani and Set. Go Kings bans the Nasa Syndra. Titan's Wrath bans the Samira Anivia. Goat Kings takes Twitch. Titan's Wrath comes back with Volley, Action, and Goat Kings finally takes the Vigar. Interesting comps. It feels like Titan's Wrath wants to team fight. It seems like both teams kind of want a team fight. Reaper is still on his comfort picks with the Vigar. He's been playing those control mages all season pretty well. Ban wise, they didn't want to see Deity. It's weird they're still banning the Swain. I guess Beard also plays Swain, but the Swain Seraphine, taking that away from the bot lane, forcing him onto something else. Twitch pick is a little interesting, but if he can get ahead, a fed Twitch is scary. So
I do think this was the week where they were running Deity ADC, so
Yep.
maybe it's a pick he likes in that bot lane. We'll have to see. Interesting rat pick.
I feel like that's a little bit of a preview for how the game went.
Akshan, if he gets big, can always be annoying, and then the revive mechanic is still ridiculous. Just the summer they banned because it was too strong. They put it on a champion, you know.
Yeah.
But I do like scaling. I like to see Set for the Salt. Definitely a very comfort pick for him. Vigar in that mid lane and more comfort. I believe KB was supporting this game, so KB's Bard gets pulled out. A lot of just signature picks in this game.
I do think this is I think this season all Salt's pulled out is either Set or Pantheon. I don't think we've seen anything else from him yet.
He says, hey, if they're going to keep giving it to me, I'm going to keep playing it. But yeah, let's see who took game number 1, which went over to Titan's Wrath. Karma Warrior did indeed get gigantic on, in the mid lane. Bears pack had a gigantic game as well. Unkillable Demon King for him. And Beard says he
Gotta
failed
love
his
it when a
ADC
Mumu
this
gets
game.
fed.
Yeah, fed Mumu, fed Akshan. Just
It's a fun combo.
yeah. Looks like they just got that lead and were able to snowball it, getting 2 Baron. Actually, it took a while for them to end it, considering, but 2 Barons, an Elder, and both Rifts. So full objective control in this game. Number 1. Jump into draft number 2 if you want to run through it.
Yep, sorry. Titan's Wrath runs back the same bands. So does Go Kings. Titan's Wrath once again first picks Ezreal. This time Go Kings counters with the Amumu Nautilus. Titan's Wrath takes Rammus and Bard. Go Kings finishes off with the Varus. Go Kings then bans the Jace and Syndra. Titan's Wrath bans the Anivia and Set. Go Kings takes Lux. Titan's Wrath takes Cassante and Akali, and Go Kings takes Pantheon. As we mentioned in the last one, the Pantheon pick is very unsurprising. Jace was action.
Jace was action. All right.
Okay.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
As I say, the Jace pick I feel like is targeting the ADC, which would, I mean, he wants to pull that out ADC. More power to him.
Right.
Go Kings though countering, taking the Amumu away from Bears pack from last game. That must have been a problem for him. Nautilus Varus feels like a fun combo. If Nautilus catches someone, they're pretty much parked for the rest of their life, I would imagine.
Yeah,
so that'll be
Varus still very bursty with that combo. Cassante and Akali still pretty scary, and then they got the Bard once again. So I feel like still a pretty good draft here from Titan's Wrath. We'll be interested to see how the Rammus does. And then since he banned away the Set, looks like the Pantheon pulled out for the Salt. See how he did on that pick, if he's able to get a lead and ult to other lanes to impact the map. But yeah, let's see who took game number 2. Looks like this one went over to Goat Kings. Looks like Salt had a good game on that Pantheon, 10-4-14. Deity and Beer doing well in that bot lane, just pretty well across the board. And this time, they're the ones who get 2 Barons and an Elder, while 2 Barons also went over to the side of Titan's Wrath. Looks like this was a long banger game as well, almost going to 50 minutes. And well played to Go Kings to force game number 3. See who can take this series with draft number 3 now up.
Yep. So Go Kings switched over to blue side this game. Once again, all the same bans were run back pretty much, except for Akali was banned on the Go King side in the second half. You had them first picking the Amumu away from Titan's Wrath. Titan's Wrath this time countering with the Maokai Tristana. Go Kings taking Nautilus, Samira. Titan's Wrath taking the Taric. Then you had Titan's Wrath with MF. Go Kings with Annie Panth, and Titan's Wrath with the Malphite. Interesting with the double ADC on the Titan's Wrath side. The Nautilus Samira is a scary combo. If that gets ahead, Samira snowballs hard, and when that champion gets ahead, that champion is a nightmare.
Yep.
Still feels very much like Go Kings. It just wants a team fight. I mean, their team fight comp is nasty from a front to back perspective. You have Pantheon who can dive the back line. And if they can get that off, then Titan's Wrath may be in trouble.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a little surprised the Pantheon didn't get banned away after it popped off pretty well game 2, but they didn't think it would be a problem. The double ADC for Titan's Wrath can be effective, but it makes them fairly AD heavy in the fights, so that's just one issue that could potentially pop up for them. But with the Mayo and Malphite, let's see if they can't set up the fights well enough where they take it. And I agree, it's just a kind of run at you and fight for Goat Kings. A bunch of good team fight ultimates with the Amumu and Nautilus and Annie, and then Samira trying to clean everybody up. But we'll see who took this series. And it went the way of the Goat Kings. This one a quicker game, but still looks like it was somewhat back and forth. Had 1 Herald each, 3-2 Dragons, and 2 Barons to the Goat Kings.
As mentioned in the draft, the Samira managed to get ahead and was that team. That is a very scary Samara.
Yep. DD able to get big, able to spin to win with that ultimate, and took the series. Well played to the Goat Kings. Now we'll jump into the final series, which is Kraken Slayers against the Ultra Lords. These games were also streamed. If you haven't seen them, check them out on the YouTube. Here for draft number 1. Ultra Lords grabbed Ziggs, Alistar, Zaya, Graves, and Garen. Kraken Slayers grabbed Vi, Rakan, Swain, Echo, and Urgot. And we have Mr. Ban, and I'm blanking on what it was right now, but we'll see in the post-game stream. Here they had a lot of poke in that Ziggs, and then a good team fight in the Alistar Zaya / Garen and Graves. Pretty good frontline fight. Kraken Slayers had basically a lot of group up and fight comp in the Urgot, Swain, Vi, and then the setup from Rakan. We actually have the Swain, Rakan bottom. We have console C, so whenever we can get Swain, we're happy to pick it. But how you feel about the lineups?
No, my only concern about Kraken seeing the lineup is damage. You guys don't have really any AD damage. You don't really have a tank shred, which could be a problem into both the Garen and the Alistar, especially if they're grouped up and team fighting you. They might be able to poke you guys down a little bit from a distance and then engage. If it's just a straight up fight, you guys probably have the tankiness to be able to power through. But I'm not quite sure if it's something drawn out where your guys' big damage is going to be coming from.
We'll jump into game number 1. This one was taken by the Ultra Lords. Actually, Kraken Slayers were ahead for the majority of this game, but with the steal of a Baron and an Elder Dragon, Ultra Lords were able to bring it back and take the victory in this 43-minute game. But well played to them, getting those objectives and taking the victory. Jump into draft number 2. Here, Kraken Slayers blue side, Ultra Lords on the red side. Kraken Slayers grabbing Zaya, Nautilus, Nocturne, Garen, and Vex. Ultra Lords taking Rakan, Tristana, Jax, Lilia, and Syndra. How you feel about these lineups?
I like the Kraken picks a little bit better this game. I like the Zaya Nautilus combo. You have the Nocturne, which can cover about half the map. You're on a comfort pick with Garen, and you have Vex, who can also Vex Nocturne combo can be nasty, especially ganking a lane like bot lane early. So I think you guys have a lot more team fight potential, a lot of dive that back line, get that Tristana behind, get that Syndra behind, and they don't have the engage they had game 1 to really help be able to counter it. Now they do have a Jax and a Lilia and a Rakan, so if they get ahead, it could be hard to kill that back line. But as long as you guys don't let like the Tristana Syndra snowball, you should be able to burn through that back line, I would imagine.
Right. Yeah, and this one, kind of a similar idea. Wanted to get early game fights, so had this draft, and I was able to grab the Garen as the counter into the Jax, so I was probably feeling pretty good about that pick. But jump into the score screen where Kraken Slayers took game number 2, pushing the series to game 3, closing it out after 30 minutes and 2 Barons. But this one was still a pretty hard fought battle. Had a lot of ults where Critter and Pharaoh would jump in with their ultimates, and I got off a fair amount of flanks because I could come from a side lane and try to run behind the enemy team.
Garen doing Garen things.
Just
with the Hall Breaker if you wanted to go on your split push.
And now draft for game number 3. Ultra Lords going back to that Ziggs, Garen, grabbing Lee Sin, Renata Glass, and Cassiopeia. Kraken Slayers getting Tom Kench, Diana, Camille, Aphelios, and Aesol. How are you looking for this final draft?
I feel like whichever team gets ahead early is going to run away with it. You have the poke on the Ultra Lord side, but Kraken has the Camille, Aphelios, Aesol, Diana. If any of those champs can get ahead and help snowball some of their other lanes, I feel like this is gonna be very contingent on early game, which both teams kind of want to fight. So it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see how it plays out.
Our draft ended up a lot later game focused, but we do end up liking to fight early. And a lot of comfort coming through for Ultra Lords. Putting the Ziggs in the bot lane this time, Cassiopeia for Kazuto, which is his go-to champion. And then Lee Sin
I
and
know
Garen, which they
Sizable's
both
very,
like.
yeah.
But we'll check out this score screen. And Ultra Lords took the series 2-1. Did indeed get ahead early. Kazuto popping off on the Snake Lady. And they took the victory for game number 3. Well played and a well fought series. That's all the games that were played week 3. If you want to see either of those two stream series, check out the YouTube. And we'll look at the games coming up for this week. And here for week number 4, we've got Titan Gaming Bucks versus the Night Raid Owls, the Donger Squad versus Velocity Gaming, Titan's Wrath versus Kraken Slayer, Stoner Nation versus Los Nomados, Ultra Lords versus HYG, and Goat Kings versus the Bomber Bros. So a lot of big matchups this week. For Titan's Wrath, Kraken Slayer, we're in the same division, and we're separated by 1 game currently, so could be a big one there to see who's in the running to get towards playoffs. I know Goat Kings and Bomber Bros both looked strong last week, so
I'll
those
be
games I think will
interested
be
to
fun to
see.
see.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how Bomba does, especially with their new lineup. This will be their second week, really, after swapping everyone around. See how that adjusts, because Go Kings have been pretty good these first couple of weeks. So put them against one of the better teams and see if they can hold their own.
Yeah, for sure. Any of the series other than what I mentioned looking big to you?
I'll be interested to see Kraken Slayer's Titan Wrath. I'll also be interested to see if your team can turn around a little bit, get some good comps, get you guys on some comfort picks. Titan's Wrath's been pretty good, pretty consistent the first couple weeks. Titan Gaming Mox against Night Raid Owls. I know they switched Bentage and Crip Lord in one of the games we played them, so I'll be interested to see if they make that more of a permanent switch or if they're what they're thinking into Night Raid, because Kid Boo's team always seems to be very competitive, as they've been very competitive every season. So.
Right. Yep, last season's champions, so still trying to defend that crown. Yeah, I agree. We made some swaps for last week, but we've had a little more practice time for Kraken Slayers. Excited for these games against Titan's Wrath. I think it'll be a good series either way, but hoping our teamwork will be on point and we can take a victory. Streamed matchup is divisional 2-1, both teams. Yeah, and that'll be that's the hang on, I have it open. We'll be doing Night Raid Owls.
Donger Velocity.
Or yeah, Donger Velocity is the game we'll be streaming.
Thanks, Poka.
I had this marked wrong. There we go. But thank you.
Yeah, that's for the division lead in their division, so that should.
So yeah, big matchup there. Donger Squad versus Velocity, trying to take the lead in that division. And as long as Blitzkrieg doesn't get picked up to sub for a team, those games will be the ones streamed live on Sunday. And if those games are moved, either captain for Donger or Velocity, let us know so we can make sure to get them streamed live. Ultra Lords HYG gonna be a banger. Yeah, Bonkers vs Kazuto is always a fun matchup, so it'll be good to see how that one goes. But we also have the predictions for week number 4 from the community. So, prediction for TGM Night Raid Owls, we've got 75% to 25% supporting the Night Raid Owls. I think
that surprises me a little bit.
TGM. Yeah, I feel like that one will be closer, but people believing in NRO right now after we saw them pull out that long series last week. For Donger Squad Velocity, pretty even, 40-60, given the slight edge to the Donger Squad to take the lead in that division. For Titan's Wrath, Kraken Slayer, even closer, 55 to 45, with the slight edge to the Kraken Slayer. People liking what they saw from us despite our loss last week. They think we can pull it together, and
That new matchup, like you said.
I hope you're all correct. Stoner Nation Los Nomadas got 65% to Los Nomadas. People are believing in your team's dominance right now.
Hey man, I'm gonna be trying to play from an airport, so I wouldn't believe in us at all.
From an airport or from a hotel?
No, from a United Lounge in an airport.
Wow, that'll be interesting. We'll have to see how that lag treats you in the game.
It'll be phenomenal.
Flame is scary though. That is true. Gotta watch
Yes,
out for
yes,
that,
he
man.
is.
For Ultra Lords against HYG, people believing in Ultra Lords 70 to 30. Yeah, I still think that'll be a pretty close matchup, but Ultra Lords have been looking strong this season. So
I think Ultra
believing in
Lords
them.
are currently the #1 team in the league right now, so I think they have a slight bump over Goat Kings because I think Goat Kings have played more best of threes.
Gotcha.
If I recall.
That's fair.
But I know HYG's been struggling a little bit, so we'll see if they can get it together a little bit and get a good game off.
It's got to get a little more band practice in. We got the band back together. Now we got to show up. And then Goat Kings versus the Bomba Bros. People believing in the Goat Kings once again, 65% to 35%. I probably believe or agree with that, but Bomba Bros did look very strong last week, so see if they can't pull that upset for week number 4.
Yeah, like you guys, they changed some things around, so it'll be interesting to see second week with the team in different roles, second week with them playing together. Like I said, that was one I'm interested to see how good they do. But I think give both you guys and them one or two more weeks, and you guys will probably be rolling on full power.
That's the hope. But again, check out games on Sunday, which will be Donger Squad versus Velocity for live games. If we have people available, we'll look to get a series cast from last week tonight, and just keep an eye out for that if you're interested in watching those. If you are sitting on a Prime subscription or just want to help support us, send those our way. We'll love you for at least 30 days. If you want to get those new Tier 2 and Tier 3 Prime emotes, or sub emotes, that's your prerogative, but you get a gold or a silver logo you can spam in chat and lord it over people. And thank you all for watching. We'll catch you all later. Have a good one.
Yeah, have a good afternoon, everyone.